The bright moon over Cambridge last night reminded me that we are approaching the Mid-Autumn Festival. 中秋节, of course, is an important festival in the traditional Chinese calendar of festivals. In the Fairbank Center tradition, it's also the formal start to the new academic year, when we have a chance to welcome and introduce new members of our community. I'm very sorry that we can't do that in person because of the pandemic. Instead, I thought I'd prepare a short video to welcome all of you. While things are far from back to normal at Harvard, the full moon is shining bright on a campus that is coming back to life. Classes are back in person, and unlike last year, many of you are able to be here in person, to use our tremendous library resources, to consult our scholars, and to interact with one another in one of the most vibrant centers for China studies anywhere in the world. So above all else, I want to welcome you, our new arrivals, our visiting scholars, our visiting fellows, our postdocs and pre-docs, our new graduate student associates, our new associates in research, and the new students in the college, in the RSCA program, and in the PhD program who are interested in China. I want to encourage you to participate fully in our many activities and our rich programming, both live and online. We can't promise you a normal experience, but we can promise you, I can promise you on behalf of the Fairbank Center, that we'll do everything we can to support you, to assist you, to ensure that your time here is productive, rewarding, and enjoyable. I also want to take this opportunity to offer publicly farewell and thanks to two members of the Fairbank Center staff who are moving on to other things. Nick Drake, our office and program coordinator, came to the Fairbank Center out of the RSCA program. He improved our systems and processes. He managed the graduate student associate program and our many different visitors programs, and many cohorts of visitors will know and be grateful for Nick's careful and caring approach, perhaps in particular as travel became increasingly difficult over the last few years. Nick's moved with his wife, Jenny, to Burlington, Vermont, and taken up a job in educational administration there. Julia Tsai is the assistant director of the Fairbank Center and the Harvard China Fund. The Harvard China Fund was her primary responsibility, and I'll leave it to Bill to thank her for her work there at an appropriate occasion. As for the Fairbank Center, well, I often refer to the Fairbank Center community. I've done so already today. Julia has done more than anyone to build that community, not just through her formal role, which she performed effectively and professionally, but even more through her efforts at team building and community building. I'm especially grateful for her experience and leadership some years ago when we were without an executive director. Julia has decided to remain in California and pursue other opportunities there. I'd like to thank Julia and Nick and wish them the very best in their future endeavors, both personally and professionally. I would also like to thank Professor Winnie Yip, who served as interim director during my sabbatical last year. Not only did Winnie keep the Fairbank Center in capable hands, as I knew she would, she also developed some exciting new programs that we'll be rolling out in the months ahead. I don't know about the traditions of other centers and other directors, but it's always been my tradition to use this opportunity to offer a few thoughts on the larger context in which we operate. Mark Grady reminded me that it was almost exactly 5 years ago today that we celebrated the 60th anniversary of the Fairbank Center, with food, with music, with activities, both artistic and intellectual, in the tent outside the Science Center, with about 1,000 people attending. There was much to be optimistic about at that time. Sadly, much of that optimism has dissipated in the years since. We've seen a deteriorating intellectual environment for scholarship in China. We've seen a deterioration in the broader human rights situation, of which the situation in Xinjiang and Hong Kong are only part. We've seen a deterioration in the bilateral US-China relationship, with plenty of blame to go around. And we've seen a disturbing, indeed horrifying rise in anti-Asian and anti-Asian American hostility in the United States, expressed both in violence and also official suspicion of visitors. To that, let me just say, as I have said before, our community at Harvard welcomes all students, faculty, staff, visitors, and affiliates from China, from Taiwan, from around the world who come here to pursue knowledge and understanding. Harvard welcomes you, and the Fairbank Center welcomes you. I am confident that we will continue to make progress in controlling and moving past the pandemic. One of the things I find most challenging about this moment is that as the world around us is coming to terms with a new normal, we have to wait and see what our new normal is going to consist of, whether aspects of our lives that we've come to consider normal and indeed essential, our ability to travel to China to study and conduct research, our ability to welcome Chinese colleagues to Harvard for their study and research, and the free interchange of ideas about China in an atmosphere of trust and learning. We need to ask ourselves, will that ever come back? I take counsel, as I often do, in the wise words of our friend Ezra Vogel, and I urge you to as well. I think that at this time he would say that our goal to promote a better understanding, better mutual understanding of and between our two societies is a good and worthy goal, regardless of worrying developments on both sides. We should recommit our efforts to that goal. To return to the traditional Chinese calendar of festivals, let me close with a wish that I will be able to deliver my greetings to you at the next major festival, Chinese New Year, in person. In the meantime, 在这花好月圆时，祝大家中秋节快乐。